The most beautiful things about this space, it literally doesn't matter what's going on in the outside world. The actual innovation space and the fun space is typically optimistic. No matter what pressures we're dealing with personally, overall, we're optimistic about what that actual future looks like. So, today in setting up this venture and capital event, but the way we see this conference is there's two aspects to it. There's the exciting and the venture aspect, a lot of great technical companies that I'll go through in a second. And also there's the fund and yield aspect as well. And pretty much they've been the two biggest drivers of what we've seen over the last 12 months. Now, for today, we've got some incredible keynote speeches. I'll try and get that out. Some incredible keynote speeches as part of it. The first person I'm gonna give a bit more of an introduction to, which is Dr. Victoria Gordon. And you probably would have seen my email that I sent out last Saturday about why, her and Q-Biotics have been one of the most important companies that Wholesale Investor has worked with. And you'll understand when you listen to her talk, who she's doing and what their company is doing is transformational. We invite Ram from Tat Capital. Ram's an incredibly nice guy. I'm sure you probably all would have met him at some stage. I really wanted to get Ram to come up and talk about the story of India. I've got a few things that I'm excited about. I can't remember whether I was in a podcast or I was in a conversation with someone I really respect, but effectively they made this one comment and it really opened up my eyes. They said, India right now is where China was in 2006 to 2008. And when I heard that comment, I was like, okay, let's go all in. So effectively, I spoke to Ram about that. We did a podcast on it, which we'll be releasing shortly. But what's super exciting is when they talk about the India 2030 vision and everything they're investing in to get that, we're very lucky. We've got a lot of great people in this ecosystem that have been passionately working hard to build that gateway between Australia and India. And can't wait to Ram to tell that story. Dr. Stephen Moss, who's here as well, who's going to be giving a keynote presentation around the regenerative health aspect, a regenerative health project that he's been working on, but also some of the opportunities that come around in that space. When he first talked to me about this project, I was absolutely fascinated with, and I said, what I love about this space, when people bring me things and I'm like, I can't believe that people have been working on this for years and I've never heard about it. And you'll see that in some of the companies that are actually presented as well today. And then Lou Jury, who I'm sure most of you all know, who's the founder of Sprint Ventures and also a family office himself. Incredibly nice guy, done a lot from an ecosystem perspective and an investment perspective. So a lot of great keynote speeches as part of actually today's event. Oh, sorry. And then the panel sessions. Now we've divided, we've basically done the venture and capital theme on the two different panel sessions. So obviously we've put together an incredible panel session on the venture investment trend side. You have a look at the lineup of the people that are participating in that. Very excited to have them participating today. And then also on the alternative investments with property funds and also private equity. So that's been a strong thing that we've been seeing with our database as far as from an interest perspective. And then there's going to be a fun fireside chat with me and Matt Allen, which might get a little bit spicy. Me and him had a sort of pre-call about that. And that should be a fun chat. And actually, I'll say that the conversation we're going to be having is how does venture investment change on the way that two different thematics have changed. Firstly, the bruising that many founders have taken on their own sort of preference shares over the last 12 months with having to do down rounds. And then secondly, with the role that generative AI plays going forward, how does that change the funding landscape going forward? And then what are the actual opportunities for investors coming out? So that will be our chat. So I'd like to say a big thank you to our sponsors and our partners. Rocking Horse, if you haven't met Giles yet, make sure you go and meet Giles. He's going to be giving a talk today. The most relaxed, chilled guy you'll ever meet that's done an incredible job, not only building Rocking Horse, but also some of his other ventures as well. But he'll be talking about how companies can get access to their R&D financing earlier. Leone Hill, said they're building an incredible technology platform for the tokenization of different sort of assets. They're also going to be giving a presentation today as well. Now, apologies, you probably noticed I've been losing my voice, as is always the timing, losing my voice right before one of our events. So as part of, really losing it. As part of today, obviously the actual app for today is sitting inside Crisp, so you would have received an email for that. Basically, just open up the app. Inside the actual app, you can actually network with all the other attendees. We've done our best to make sure that everyone is visible, everyone can be connected with everyone. That is the center point for everything today. The agenda will be on track inside the actual application, so you'll be able to see exactly where we're at for the day. So you can go to app.crisp.io to actually see that. Okay, now as part of with Crisp, one of the things we've done is we've tried to make it super easy for you to get access to the information that you're looking to from an investment perspective. So whether it be the recommendations for opportunities, whether it be the streamlined process, overview, etc. The matchmaking, so once you actually set up your preferences, it will match you directly with the most relevant opportunities for you. Likewise, as I said, it's just everything we've thought about is how to make everything simpler so that you can get access to the information you want and then also access to the opportunities that you're looking for as well. And then obviously we've integrated the conference software into the actual app as well. So the biggest thing I always say for this event, before I actually get into my talk, is that one conversation can change everything, right? Whether it be from an investee company in your portfolio or to one of the companies that are presenting today. That is why I do this. That is why I love this. And that is what inspires me, is that one conversation can completely change the trajectory of a business. The hard part is we just never know which one of those conversations it is. So today, make the effort to go around and network with everyone. And also, if one of the companies you see is not relevant for you, for your investment portfolio, then think about who it may be relevant for in your ecosystem of investors as well. How we build is via networks. It really does suck when you lose your voice the week of your own conference. So basically, I do want to give a passionate keynote speech on this, but it may be a bit dampened because of my actual voice. So we've been working incredibly hard because we think about capital raising in a different way. You know, we've thought about it from the perspective of how do we simplify it for everybody. And so one of the things we've thought about now, or one of the things that we've been working on is how do we create an opportunity for the entire ecosystem to leverage off what we've built. Now, of course, you guys are used to actually coming here, accessing the opportunities, networking with each other. Now we want to take that opportunity to a whole new level for the ecosystem. So effectively, we've been doing this now for 14 years. And these are the things that we've got behind us as far as what we've been able to achieve, right? And it's very hard to replicate that. Every week I have someone telling me about a new platform. I don't care about the platform so much. Like, even though as much as we've heard, do you know how hard it is to build ecosystems? To build a three-sided ecosystem? To me, that is what makes this entire space special, is that most of you wear multiple hats. Everything we think about is creating an opportunity for tomorrow. Every presentation, every line of code, every email we send, every product initiative is all focused around that mission. Our mission is empowering innovation, capital, and ambition. That sits at the core of absolutely everything that we do, right? And the next phase for us, I said, obviously we utilize technologies, platforms, and partners to make that connection. But everything we think about is how to create international opportunities. So the next stop for this roadshow is actually Singapore, right? And then we're actually going to be doing something in London because this opportunity is actually global in nature. And the common thought which we have is, well, how do you actually scale capital raising? How do you remove friction from the process? And then how do you do it globally? That is the fundamental thing that sits behind everything we actually think about. So then this was our solution, right? The Chris software that you're going to be playing with today, that you're going to be accessing the companies that is our solution to provide something which is integrated and end-to-end as actually part of the actual process. And if you think about this, you know, I've been showing this slide now for 3.5 years, and we executed this on March this year, the final part, which was making the entire ecosystem visible and contactable. So the three fundamental principles of how we build everything is, number one, build software that lets the ecosystem do what it naturally does. That's most important. Number two, the principle which we integrated at the start of this year is how do we help people monetize what we've actually built? How do we help the ecosystem monetize what you built, whether you be an investor, a founder, right? Or also an industry participant. The unique achievement that we crossed earlier this year is basically the productization of capital raising, which is actually one of the hardest areas to actually do that because there's so much nuance and there's so much skill that's associated with it. But the key elements of what we actually deliver as a company, we've been able to productize. Now, those key elements focus around obviously the database, providing global investor access, where we did an API integration with Crunchbase to add over 200,000 investors, creating two-way AI ML-driven matchmaking, and also, most importantly, making the investor database visible, searchable, contactable, so that everyone can network with each other. And then integrating conference software, because fundamentally this entire ecosystem has been built off demo days, showcasing, and conferences like this. And then obviously the intelligent deal rooms is the last part, where having just access to data is not enough. Engagement is most important aspect of what it goes forward in the future between investors and also founders. So we've created a channel partner licensing opportunity, and it's really designed for whether you're an investor, right, that's looking to actually support some of your portfolio companies, or looking to add value to some of the startups which you actually come across, whether you're a business owner that actually works with a lot of companies in this space, private market opportunities that require access to capital, and then also industry as well, looking to add an additional product solution to your business. So effectively, we want you to leverage off what we've built, to utilize our investments in technology, in platform, in building our ecosystem, to basically monetize that as part of your own business. And for us, these are the key things which make what we do actually unique, right? Whether it be the investor ecosystem, the software we've built, the business systems and processes we're built in behind it, the conference capability, obviously the events that we run, and this is now across multiple countries and also online, and then also the access to the international networks. So one of the things that part of this we'll be doing is we'll be providing our channel partner and our licensees with access to our IP across all areas, from our business systems right through to how we actually invite and bring investors into our ecosystem, the marketing processes we use, etc., and everything related to capital raising and so forth. So it's really opening the door up for us to help, let the ecosystem monetize what we've actually built. And there's two approaches that people are often thinking about in this. One is a direct product offering, right? The second part is as a complementary offering to their existing business. And basically the next stage for us is, most people know of us for the venture aspect, but obviously we've been working with ASX listed companies now for 12 years. We've been working with funds now for 11 years. But actually, more importantly, WI will be repositioned over the next 12 months to be focused on private market opportunities covering the full spectrum. So whilst everyone knows us for venture, you'll see that we'll open up the doors to all relevant private market opportunities, because that is the big opportunity in here. And as you would have seen, there's the growth. And actually, I could tell you this, when I listened to Cameron from PEP at our last event, that absolutely opened up my mind about the size of private market opportunities and what that could mean for this entire space. And what I love about most of you is you're actually also active in this space as well. It's not just investment and then wait, it's also looking to add value to the companies that you work with. And for us, we want to facilitate that. And there's lots of different ways in which people can actually monetize that at different levels. And for us, it's really about empowering the ecosystem to actually do this on several layers. So to finish on this, I want to go through why I'm excited for the next 5 years, because let's be blunt, the last 15, 16 months have been absolutely brutal. I was having a conversation with someone. I think it was the hardest to raise capital over the last 15 months as what it was back in 2008 when I actually started WI. Like, I'll put it at that level. If anyone disagrees, happy to have a chat with you about that. But it's said that's how hard that. So then you think, well, why are we so optimistic? And for me, here's my 5 reasons why I'm super optimistic about what comes next. Firstly, the role that AI software and platform technologies can play. We've all experienced it now for the last, 7 months. It is absolutely life-changing, and it is just going more and more in that direction. The more we use generative AI, whether it be for anything we do, the more we follow the 20-year-old punks on Instagram showing us how to use AI is also fascinating as well, right? And for me, that's been an interesting lesson for me in how to actually expand my own business. If I could give you, another time in a few months, I'll tell our own journey about how we've actually incorporated this into our business and what we're planning for the future. But it is transformational from a scalability perspective. Then you've got the Bitcoin halving coming up at the end of April next year. We all know typically what happens around the Bitcoin halving period, what happens in the lead up to it, what happens after it. To me, this is one of the most exciting things, to have those two forces aligning around about the same time. Will be interesting to see what happens from a market, considering how depressed it's felt for the last sort of 15 months. It's interesting. It will be exciting to see how it unfolds, around that same time. The next one is the S-curve technology adoption. All these platform technologies like energy, and by the way, how cool is the different renewable energy technology? And I'll give a bit of a rundown of some of the companies here today as well. But basically, the S-curve technology adoption, a lot of the adoption is taking place, that early adopter, a lot of the platform technologies are taking place right now, right? And that means that basically the prime sort of uplift in growth is actually taking place at this moment. So that excites me. And then this one, Wrights Law. It's worthwhile. Do some deep diving on ARK Invest's and Kathy Wood's Wrights Law, and you can see that effectively, with each manufacturing output in these different areas, whether it be genomics, whether it be battery cell production, whether it be solar cell production, the cost is coming down significantly. And she does a whole thesis around Wrights Law on this. And likewise for us as solution providers, the more we actually scale our businesses, the cheaper it gets for us to do it. And this is what's exciting. And then the last one is the network effect. 2008 to now created all the different social media platforms. Over the last few years, there's been a massive explosion in the investment in data platforms as well. So now, whether you're a B2C business or B2B business, you can absolutely reach the world within 12 months. So if you translate that to what is the future scalability for companies, it is absolutely transformational. So for me, with all these 5 different things taking place at one time, it is super hard not to be excited about what comes next for the innovation space. And I'm just not surprised if 2 things take place. Number one, the same, if you think about the money that's been generated in the last 15 years in this space, I wouldn't be surprised if that gets generated in the next 5 years. Right? If you want a reference for that, go and have a look where the NASDAQ was in 2000, the NASDAQ 100 was in 2008, 2009, and then go have a look at where it is now. Right? And then the second one is I really believe some of the most profitable companies in history are going to come out of this period because of some of the, basically going back to the first one, AI, software, and platform technologies. So to me, that's what's super exciting about what comes next. So if you'd like to learn more about the sort of channel partner license opportunity, feel free to email me direct. You all have my email by now. Or you can actually just give me a business card throughout today. So one thing I'm going to do before we kick off and before I introduce Victoria, I'm going to give a quick rundown of some of the companies, because I know you may not have seen the agenda, but there's some really, really cool companies and some great innovations that are actually presenting today that I recommend to. So the first one I mentioned is Hone AG, who's just outside here. I didn't realize this, but basically, and if I articulate this incorrectly, I apologize, PJ, but basically I didn't realize that the protein levels in wheat crop make such a difference in the actual price. And I didn't realize the only way they could do that testing was actually in a lab. They've actually created a device where they can actually do it in field, and more than that, they've got Grain Corp as one of their backers behind it. H2I, building a solution for retrofitting hydrogen to diesel engines. You think about that capability for cleaner solutions going forward to existing diesel engines is phenomenal. Line Close Brewery, basically, it's almost like brewery as a service. How do you turn a brewery into a tech company? That's effectively what their ambitions are and what they've been doing, and really cool innovation behind that. Green Gravity, looking to convert old mine shafts into green energy providers. Like, how do you not love the engineering and the ideas behind this sort of stuff? AgLive, basically an end-to-end agri-tech solution, basically building end-to-end traceability. And also monitoring, and they've also got large corporate customers as well as part of it. Tessera Therapeutics, building a discovery technology platform to assist in the discovery of degenerative brain issues, right, which affects so many people in so many different ways. Kinetics, basically got an innovative design for renewable energy that combines wind, solar, and also water. Myopharm, building novel therapeutics for metabolic diseases, for type 2 diabetes, and also obesity. Feasly, got a scalable financially modeling solution for property developers. Obviously, there's a few property groups here today as well. Genius, providing clean energy technology infrastructure. Obviously, you know, one of the biggest investments going forward over the next 10 years will be clean energy technology infrastructure. And then Verency, which is empowering sustainable finance with innovative climate tech and fintech solutions, got some big deals with some large corporates, which they can actually talk about in their presentation. So, and of course, we've got some great fund managers in the likes of Palace Capital here today, Quanta, and Arcana have all got incredible track records of producing yield for investors. And I know that's obviously a strong appeal for some investors right now. So that's my introduction. It's been a long introduction. I'm definitely out of time. I want to say thank you very much for coming to Venture and Capital. Now, to introduce the first person, I'm going to introduce Victoria Gordon from Cubiotics. You know, Victoria has been an inspiration to me. In 2009, as I said, when we were just starting WR, we were 6 months old, I come across Victoria. You know, and I won't go the full, but basically all I'll say is at that time, that was the worst possible time to be a life science company trying to raise money. And we had this situation where one of my co-founder trialed their product on their dog, right? And this is an anti-cancer drug. And they was basically the dog was on death's door, and he watched over the next few days that the actual wound started cleaning up, it started healing itself. And the next thing it was running around like it was a puppy. And so that was transformational. And then for the last 13 years, 14 years, I've been fortunate enough to watch the growth of Cubiotics from a company which basically was struggling from a cap raising perspective to being, you know, a near $500 million company. And the person behind it is also one of the most inspiring, because if everyone knows, life science is one of the hardest sectors. And to be that persistent, that globally focused, but also that protective of such powerful IP. But what she did is so inspiring in that instead of what people did before and how they'd go and try and do drug discovery just doing it in a lab, she went to the rainforest. And in that, she discovered so many different pathways to create platform and in the process created a platform technology to help across so many different areas that, you know, whilst what they're most known for is their anti-cancer drug for like skin cancers and so forth, and also wound healing. But there is so much more potential to that technology that I imagine it could take 2 lifetimes to commercialize the entire lot, what they've discovered already. And so it's my absolute pleasure to welcome Dr. Victoria Gordon to the stage. And I can assure you by the time the end of her speech, you'll understand why what they have done has been one of the most important things that we've worked with as a company, and also why she's one of the most inspiring people to leave it. Thank you.